Wow. So to the awards. This year, the award will be presented by Will Lana. Will is a partner and investment manager at Trillium Asset Management. And so I ask you to please give a warm welcome to Will as he comes onto the stage for the presentation.
Okay, good afternoon. Congratulations to Ceres for organizing another inspiring conference. I'm here to present the 10th anniversary Joan Bavaria Award. And as you just heard, Joan is the co-founder of Ceres, the co-founder of the U.S. Forum on Sustainable and Responsible Investment, and the founder of Trillium Asset Management. This is an opportunity to celebrate Joan's contribution to our community and to celebrate the work of others who are breaking new ground in the field of sustainable and responsible investment. Before I announce this year's winner, I would like to take a moment to thank the judges of the 2017 award: Mindy Luber of Ceres, Cheryl Smith of Trillium Asset Management, Steve Lippman of Microsoft, Tim Brennan of the Unitarian Universalist Association, and Elizabeth McEverin of the McKnight Foundation. The judges reviewed a pool of highly accomplished nominees, each of whom demonstrated leadership toward creating long-term impact in the capital markets. This year, the judges chose a leader who holds much in common with prior recipients, including the descriptor of being ahead of her time. Our winner has been in the space of impact and development for over 20 years. In 2008, working at the World Bank and in partnership with SEB, our winner helped create one of the world's first and arguably the most influential green bond issue. This first bond was structured to meet the request of Swedish pension investors who sought the security of the World Bank's credit, assurance that finance projects would contribute to economic development, and also assurance that projects would address the challenges of global climate change. The solution was a green bond, a single fixed income instrument that directs capital to solve some of the world's most pressing environmental challenges, and yet it is easily traded on the secondary market. After the success of this first issue, our winner worked in coordination with other issuers, underwriters, and investors to develop the Green Bond Principles, a set of voluntary processes and guidelines for issuers and underwriters. These principles promote transparency and disclosure. Her path-breaking work at the World Bank has shown how careful and critical attention to disclosure and after issuance disclosure strengthens the impact of each bond. Since launching the Green Bond Program, the World Bank has issued nearly $10 billion equivalent in green bonds in more than 125 different transactions and in over 18 different currencies. Proceeds from the World Bank green bonds have financed the development of renewable energy, sustainable transportation, and energy efficiency projects. Those who have worked personally with our winner would say the award could not have gone to a better person. She is known for her warmth, her professionalism, and her courage in groups to push for the highest standards that will leave everyone involved proud of their work together. So without further ado, please join me in congratulating this year's winner of the Bavaria Award for building sustainability into the capital markets, Heike Reichelt.
Hi, everyone. Those of you who know me know that I'm very uncomfortable listening to things like that. So thank you very much for the award, and I still can't believe it. There are so many others who are part of this journey of building sustainable capital markets, and our work is really the piece of a much, much larger puzzle. It's such an incredible honor. As Will said, I'm at the World Bank in Treasury, the group that issues AAA-rated World Bank bonds, and our work is usually more in the background. We raise money from investors to fund projects in our member countries that fight poverty through investments in areas such as education, health, and sustainable infrastructure. And all our bonds are social bonds, and they all support the Sustainable Development Goals. My colleagues work with governments around the world, often in very challenging environments, to ensure that projects achieve a positive impact. And over the years, I've had the privilege of meeting and learning from investors who integrate sustainability into their investment process. I've learned so much from conferences like this one. And by designing fixed income products for these investors, we've been able to play a small role in promoting SRI and ESG for fixed income investing, either through vaccine bonds issued by IFM, for which the World Bank is the treasury manager, or through World Bank bonds. As Will said, this year marks the 10th anniversary of this award, but it also marks another milestone. The investors that Will spoke about, the Scandinavian pension funds, they came to us exactly 10 years ago through their bank, SEB, looking for a climate-focused bond. And we worked together with them and with Cicero, a climate think tank, to develop the product. And a year later, in 2008, we issued our first green bond in Swedish kroner. Does anyone know who bought the very first US dollar green bond? I'll give you a hint. It has something to do with the state we are in. Early in 2009, the first investor ever to buy a US dollar green bond was the California State Treasurer, Bill Lockyer, at the time. And actually, we first met him at a gathering that Prince Charles convened to get investors to focus on climate risk. As a financial product, green bonds are super simple. They support projects that go through the same checks and balances as other projects that we financed, but focus on areas like renewable energy, energy efficiency, or waste management, or reforestation. Like for our other bonds, investors do not take project or country risk. But because investors wanted to know where their money was going, we set up special reporting to tell investors about the expected impacts. Investors often wanted to be associated with the bonds that they bought, so they gave us their names and we put their names in press releases. But that's it. That's all green bonds are. They connect the source of funding with its social and environmental purpose. But with green bonds, investors who weren't already in it dip their toes in the water of sustainable fixed income investing, and then they get hooked, or some of them do. They realize that there's climate risks or other risks that they should be looking at in their portfolio, and they need to pay attention to those. Or just overall that investments have a social purpose. They ask questions and they get engaged. Over the last 10 years, so much has happened, and Joan's legacy has really lived on. The $100 billion US dollar green bond market has played a catalytic role, supported by many other developments like Ceres and others who continue to raise awareness for climate risks. Many more investors are incorporating ESG into their process. Will mentioned the green bond principles. There's principles for social bonds, PRI, CBI. Credit rating agencies have developed new products to highlight ESG risks, and there's a whole industry of second opinion providers. Bankers are engaged and love to debate the greenness of various bonds. Green bond markets have blossomed in countries like China. Countries have finally signed an ambitious, very ambitious climate agreement. There's a working group on green finance at the G20, a task force on financial disclosure, a UN inquiry into a more sustainable financial system. The list goes on and on and on. At the World Bank, we focus a lot on transparency. And as we heard in the video, it was something that Joan Bavaria did as well. We see it as an opportunity to report not only on risks, but also on the positive social and environmental impact of projects. We worked with investors and other issuers to come up with a template for impact reporting. Thanks to my colleague Urvi, we have videos to share projects and their outcomes with investors. And through making those videos, I actually learned a lot about the projects and how complicated it is to design projects. The product, green bonds, is very simple, but the projects that they support are complicated. Now, green bonds aren't perfect, And at the beginning, when people were very skeptical, Cheryl Smith said, "Don't let perfect be the enemy of good." If we had waited for the perfect product, we wouldn't have done anything. I spoke to Cheryl yesterday, and she used a great analogy to show how a challenge that seems too big can be tackled one step at a time. She said, "If you want to eat an elephant, do it one bite at a time." Now, I definitely don't want to eat an elephant. I don't even want to think about eating an elephant, especially not after what we just saw. But it's a great analogy. Just getting to a more sustainable future through investing seems like an insurmountable challenge. But if we take it one step at a time or one bite at a time, we can get there. Now, compared to the size of the overall market, the green bond market is really a drop in the ocean. But it's catalyzing a development towards more sustainable capital markets, and that's big. So SRI or ESG or impact investing approaches have been around for decades, but they're only gradually being integrated into fixed income, into traditional fixed income. But we need more. We need a transformation in the way we think about investing for everything, all asset classes. We'll get there, and I'm very encouraged by what's happening at universities and with technology. Investors will soon have more information about the social value of their investment, and they can use that for their decisions. If every investor has a sustainable investing framework, and if for every investment they make, labeled or not, they incorporate the expected social and environmental outcomes of the projects they're supporting into their decisions, then we will have a transformation in the capital markets. I hope we can all do our part to get there. We do need to step up our efforts, though. We have one planet Earth and too many demands on its resources. Before I end, I'd like to thank a few people, Cheryl Smith and others at Trillium, Mindy Luber, Peter Ellsworth, and others from Ceres, Mark Regier, who I think nominated me, and the judges who chose me for this award. Also my managers and colleagues at the World Bank, Christopher Flensborg, and the pension funds who started all of the green bond market. So many others, Ashley, Emmanuel, investors, issuers, bankers, policymakers, NGOs, again, the list goes on and on. So we're on this journey together, but there's a long way to go. I'd like to dedicate the award to my family, especially my kids, and to all of you in the audience, because you wouldn't be here if you didn't want to make a difference. So I like to keep things simple, and I wanted to end with a very simple quote by William James, the US philosopher from the 19th century. He said, "Act as if what you do makes a difference. It does." Thank you very much.
Give you a hug, yes, please. Thank you.